When the mind asks for little, suffering loosens its grip. When the mouth stops spending words on what is empty, trouble has less to cling to. When the body is not fed what harms it, illness finds fewer doors. When the heart quits rehearsing tangled stories, sorrow grows thin. These are not commandments carved in stone. They are quiet observations, like noticing how a room changes when you open a window. Want less, and you have less to lose. Speak less, and you leave fewer sharp edges behind. Eat with care, and the body stops fighting what it was never meant to hold. Think less compulsively, and the heart finally has space to breathe. A life can be heavy without having much in it. It is the grasping, not the object, that adds weight. Love, when it is real, does not demand an audience of tears. Understanding, when it is deep, does not need fate to keep proving itself. There is a kind of affection that is always performing, always checking, always testing, always asking, "Do you still choose me?" But the more it asks, the more it reveals its fear. There is also a quieter love. It does not shout its sincerity because it does not doubt it. It doesn't need to turn every moment into evidence. It simply stays, steady as a lamp in a windless room. When a bond arrives, hold it with gratitude. When it finishes, release it with grace. This sounds simple, but it is one of the hardest arts in human life, knowing how to hold without possessing, and how to let go without bitterness. Many people can love, fewer can release. We confuse attachment with devotion and clinging with loyalty. Yet clinging is often just fear wearing a sacred mask. Life is, at its root, a kind of emptiness, so meet the world and the people in it with a quiet smile and keep your spirit unruffled. Emptiness here is not nihilism. It does not mean nothing matters. It means nothing is fixed, nothing can be held forever. Nothing can be owned in the way the anxious mind wishes to own it. The world is a river, not a vault. To demand certainty from a river is to suffer. To learn its flow is to find peace. Watch the sun rise, plain, unadorned, then set in unforced freedom. Watch the flowers open, then fall. Where, after all, can dust truly settle? What can it bind, and for how long? The world is always teaching impermanence, not with speeches, but with seasons, not with arguments, but with turning. The teaching is so constant that we stop noticing it, like a clock we no longer hear. Yet the truth does not stop being true because we are used to it. The flower does not bargain for an extra week. The day does not negotiate with our plans. The body does not consult our pride before it changes. And still we live as if permanence is the default. We build our identities on things that shift: appearance, reputation, status, approval, possession, control. Then we wonder why we feel anxious. If you build a house on sand, you do not blame the ocean for coming and going. You learn to build differently. Most of us are not born into comfort. We are carried by our own effort. So remind yourself, do not quit. The road ahead is still long, and you have not yet seen what you can become. This is not motivational noise. It is spiritual realism. There is a difference between hardship that forms you and hardship that deforms you. The same fire can warm clay or crack it. The difference is often the inner posture. If you treat your struggle as proof of your inadequacy, it will poison you. If you treat it as training, slow, stubborn training, it can temper you into a steadier person. We do not have hearts made of stone or diamond. In darkness, we tremble. In heartbreak, we want to cry out. So be gentler with yourself. When you learn to value your own life, others will learn how to value you. And only when you know how to care for yourself can you genuinely care for another. Self-care. Here is not indulgence. It is not a shallow escape disguised as therapy. It is the dignity of a person who refuses to abandon themselves. It is feeding your body what it needs, giving your mind rest, setting boundaries without cruelty, and refusing to make your suffering a permanent home. To treat yourself well is not selfish. It is foundational. A cup cannot pour if it is cracked and empty. A heart cannot love cleanly if it is starved of gentleness. We are not all born with silver tongues. When you meet someone who understands, explanation is unnecessary. When you meet someone who refuses to understand, explanation is usually wasted. There is an art to silence. Not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of discernment. Some conversations are bridges, others are traps. Some people argue to meet you, others argue to dominate you. If you keep trying to be understood by someone committed to misunderstanding you, you will exhaust your soul. Live plainly. Stand upright. Be unashamed before heaven and earth. Guard your conscience. Time, if you let it work, will reveal the grain of a person's heart. This is where many people go wrong. They want immediate vindication. They want the world to confirm right now that they were sincere. But time does not rush. Time reveals slowly, the way water reveals the shape of stone. Let time do its work. In the meantime, keep yourself clean. If your conscience is clear, you can endure being misread. If your conscience is compromised, no praise will rescue you. Sincerity does not guarantee reward on schedule, but it does attract depth. If you give what is true, someone will eventually feel it. Life is full of what cannot be predicted, and many answers do not require debate. If something brings you honest joy, continue. Whether wind or rain, persist. The path beneath your feet is yours to walk. The hardships before your eyes are yours to endure. The ache inside you is yours to carry. Don't build your life on leaning. No support is steadier than your own spine. A person becomes dangerous to themselves when they refuse this truth. They keep waiting for rescue, for permission, for the perfect companion, for society to become kinder, for luck to finally arrive. They postpone living until conditions are ideal, then discover conditions never were. The mature heart understands. Help may come, and gratitude is proper, but responsibility remains yours. No one can breathe for you. No one can choose for you. No one can fully carry the weight of your inner world. And remember, no one's goodness matters more than your becoming good. Refine yourself again and again. Society is not always a mother who soothes and shelters. Often it is a strict teacher pressing you with trials until you are forced to grow. It teaches, sometimes cruelly, that softness alone achieves little and grievance achieves less. Complaining rarely earns real pity. If you do not strive, do not expect success. So swallow bitterness when you must. Wipe your tears in private. Bear your fatigue. This does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming capable. There is a strength that does not shout. There is resilience that does not perform. Some of the most powerful people you will ever meet are quiet, not because they have nothing to say, but because they have learned the cost of careless words and the futility of endless complaint. They save their energy for action and their emotion for compassion. If you have not tasted the world's cold and heat, how can you know its sweet and bitter? If you have not lived through human change, how can you understand the shifting faces of the heart? Everyone longs for simplicity. Everyone hopes to be met with sincerity. Everyone wants happiness and fullness. Yet reality wakes us up. It asks us to change, to shed an old skin to meet the world as it is. Sometimes harsh, sometimes indifferent. There are days when you haven't even improved yet, and you are already labeled behind. There are moments when the slightest weakness gets you pushed off balance. But every tear you've shed, every road you've walked, every burden you've carried, every bitterness you've swallowed, these become your shaping. Pain is a rough teacher, but it is a teacher. It chisels away illusions. It corrects arrogance. It exposes what was never stable. The danger is not pain. It is what we make of pain. If we turn it into cynicism, we become smaller. If we turn it into wisdom, we become spacious. If we turn it into compassion, we become luminous. They carve a self that cannot be imitated. When you gain true skill, you fear less. When you hold true faith, you step forward. The world is a furnace. It tempers those willing to enter it. In how you deal with people, learn the art of changing positions. Stand even briefly where the other stands. Often, to receive, you must first learn to give. To be understood, you must cultivate tolerance. To be cherished, learn to cherish. To be respected, learn self-respect. What is respect in the end, if not the way we treat what has dignity? You cannot demand dignity from others while insulting your own. You cannot ask to be valued while living as if you are disposable. Self-respect is the quiet line you do not cross, not in what you accept, not in what you offer, not in what you become. When you consider another person's difficulty, they are more likely to consider yours. When you help someone in real need, the world, quietly, in its own time, often returns the gesture. Not always in the same form, not always from the same person. But kindness has a peculiar way of circulating. Even when it is not returned, It changes you. It makes your heart more inhabitable. It makes your life less cramped. No two people share one body, so no two people fully share one heart. What is light for you can be heavy for someone else. What others dismiss may sit in your chest for years. Since we are not one another, our angles differ, our reasoning differs, our sensitivities differ. That is why the rarest form of maturity is this: to examine a matter from the other person's ground, to honor what they care about, and to choose the gentlest possible way forward. Gentleness is not weakness. Gentleness is strength with restraint. It is the power to avoid unnecessary harm. It is the choice to be precise rather than brutal. It is the wisdom to know that many victories are too expensive. The best state between two people is not constant speech, but mutual comprehension. You understand my warmth, that even when it is hard, I still want to help you. I understand the words you cannot say, and I keep them safely in my heart. No one is flawless. Work is not always smooth. Hardship visits everyone. Over time, misunderstandings arise like dust on a table. If you can shift your viewpoint, conflict softens. If you treat one another with sincerity, affection deepens. This is how relationships survive, not by avoiding every wound, but by tending wounds before they become infections. Not by never failing, but by repairing with humility. Not by forcing agreement, but by preserving respect. When anger rises, do not speak. You cannot know which word will become a thorn in someone's memory. Anger is not always wrong. Sometimes it is a signal. A boundary has been crossed, a value violated, a pain uncovered. But anger is a terrible messenger when it is allowed to drive. It runs too fast. It exaggerates. It weaponizes the tongue. It convinces you that cruelty is honesty. When you are not balanced, silence is often the kindest discipline. Whatever you say will be singed by the fire of anger, and fire does not produce clarity. With those you love, uncontrolled temper burns the deepest. If feeling can resolve it, do not insist on winning with logic. Anger at someone uninvolved is simply suffering. You manufacture for yourself. Blame is a rope you use to bind your own hands. People get angry for many reasons. Rumors without proof, betrayal, misunderstanding, unfairness, disrespect, joy and grief, love and hate. Few can command these tides perfectly. So if you have already lost your temper, stop the conversation. Let the heart cool. Practice releasing grievance, taking responsibility, stepping past faults, and letting needless pain dissolve. Then your life widens. Your days grow lighter. Everyone meets pressures that sour the mind, work that disappoints, love that falters, burdens that don't let up. Some cope quietly, some shout, some lash out, even hurting others to vent. Often, quick temper is born of being indulged, of seeing only oneself, refusing to step into another's reality. In plain terms, it is selfishness, and we tend to be harshest with those closest to us. We rely on their love, take liberties, explode over small things, demand without weighing the harm we cause. To feed on someone's tenderness while repeatedly wounding them. What is that, if not a failure of conscience? It is worth looking back at ourselves and asking, is this the person I intend to be? Temper never solves problems. It only breaks relationships, disrupts work, and leaves you exhausted. Once anger ignites, calm becomes impossible. Even breathing feels cramped. So don't treat irritability as normal. A person who cannot govern their own emotions is not powerful. They are untrained. In relationships, what most often breaks a heart is language. Words are keys that open people and blades that close them forever. There are wounds no apology can fully erase. You can say sorry and still leave a scar. That is why mindfulness in speech is not politeness. It is moral intelligence. The tongue is small, yet it steers entire lives. Until you've witnessed the quiet ruin in someone wounded by speech, you won't know how deeply one careless sentence can cut. Words can kill without blood. A thoughtless remark, a cold glance, a reckless gesture can shatter warmth that took years to build. And the closer the bond, the deeper the wound. Time may seal a wound, but it rarely erases it. It can ache again with a single touch. Words may not end a life, but they erode love, push people away, and turn what was warm into something wintry. Sometimes the greatest injury isn't even harsh speech. It is deliberate indifference to someone's hopes. When disappointment accumulates, people go quiet. When quiet accumulates, they grow cold. Many things can't be repaired with one apology. Harmony is fragile. Once you've truly hurt someone, returning to the beginning is almost impossible. So widen your heart. Manage your emotions. Choose your words. Treasure the person beside you. Give yourself wholly to the present, and you can preserve what is good. You meet the world you cultivate. The company you keep shapes your character. The higher you stand, the more the scenery changes. If you have not met the person you hope for, perhaps you have not yet become the value you seek. Refine yourself first. Let the rest arrive in its own season. This is not fatalism, it is alignment. Often we want a life that matches an inner maturity we have not yet practiced. We want peace without discipline, love without responsibility, abundance without patience, respect without integrity. But the world has a quiet fairness. It tends to deliver realities that match our inner posture. Change the posture and the horizon changes. In life, some events can only be accepted. Some people, once they turn away, can only be released. Some roads, once chosen, cannot be reversed. There are moments when the heart feels powerless. Yet if you see clearly, you may find that losing some things is safer than gaining them. Endure a little and pain passes. Yield a little and trouble loosens. Hold back a little and arguments evaporate. Let go a little and you stop forcing what cannot last. True love wants a shared future. Sincere feelings do not need constant display. They walk quietly beside us through the years. A good bond is not born of staged gatherings. It is built from two people's steady willingness to accept each other. If there is true affinity, time and distance are not obstacles. If there is none, meeting every day still holds no meaning. People say we only understand after we lose. More often, we knew what we had. We simply assumed it would never leave. So treasure the small things. One day you will look back and see they were the pillars. Some moments become priceless only after they turn into memory. Sometimes you try your hardest and no one notices. Then you stop trying and suddenly they do. Sometimes life withholds what you think you need, not because you are unworthy, but because something better is being saved for you. Simplicity is joy, yet few live simply. Complexity breeds suffering, and suffering is everywhere. Often because we overthink, hesitate, calculate, and refuse to decide. So what must be held, hold firmly. What must be released, release cleanly. Only when you end what should end, can you begin what should begin. Life is like a piano. White keys are joy, black keys are pain. A song needs both. The wish for a life with only white keys is understandable and impossible. Pain is not always punishment. Often it is instruction. Often it is the very contrast that makes gratitude possible. A life without hardship may become shallow, not because ease is evil, but because depth is rarely demanded in comfort. If you never test yourself with difficult things, you cannot grow. Those who have walked many roads and solved many unexpected problems mature quickly. No matter how ordinary your life seems, face it. Don't flee. Don't resent. Time keeps moving. People come and go. Don't miss your chance to live meaningfully. A life can feel long or short, but each day you live is already a blessing. Time, once gone, does not return. Do not insist on always being right. Those who demand everyone move around them rarely end well. Even with ability, keep humility. Do your work well. If you are gold, you will shine. In trouble, don't forget to smile. In urgency, mind your tone. In hardship, keep patience. In exhaustion, remember to love yourself. The happiest life is often the simplest. Know contentment. Practice generosity. Cultivate forgiveness. Don't complicate everything. A mind that carries too much will eventually tire. Clear out your inner clutter. Release the people and things that keep your heart uneasy. One day lived is one day to cherish. Don't live in a way that ends in regret. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Sadness spends a day. Joy spends a day. Either way, the day passes. So don't let trivial matters tie your heart until body and mind feel cramped. Some things, when you set them down gently, make you light. Some people, remembering too deeply is not happiness. Treat pain lightly. It is also training, the rough whetstone of the road. Life has no if only. It has consequences. The past cannot be retrieved. And even if it could, it would not be perfect. Don't envy what belongs to others. Through effort, you can build your own. Don't boast about what you have. Others can reach it too. Add a little joy. Subtract a little worry. Rich or poor, high or low, learned or simple. If you can smile each day and let fatigue pass like wind, you are already living with ease. Emotions are like clouds. They arrive, they drift, they leave. You are not your emotions. Sorrow can come like a thin ray of late afternoon light, brief, pale, passing, leaving the soul quiet for a moment. A spoonful of salt in a glass of water makes it bitter. In a lake, it disappears. Troubles are the salt. The taste depends on the size of your heart. Whether life feels bitter or sweet often depends on your inner capacity, whether your mind is narrow or wide. Happiness grows from lightness. Events can be simple, but when you think too deeply and calculate too much, they become complicated and bind your hands and feet. And even complex matters become manageable when you loosen your grip and stop feeding them your attention. So sometimes, meet things with a smile. Don't be overly severe. Some people, seeing clearly is enough. You don't need to hold them in your heart. If someone loves to perform, applaud. Exposing them changes little. If someone insists they are right, let it pass. Arguing is expensive. What matters is not who you are or who they are, but whether you can live without betraying your own conscience. Live with circumstance, and you can be at peace. Some emotional chapters are not meant to be clutched. Smile and keep walking. Be more open, and you will learn more. Be more refined, and life becomes more beautiful. Be more clear-eyed, and your smile becomes brighter. We come into the world because we must. We leave because we must. The stretch in between is our choosing. Some take money, romance, and winning as their fuel. Others take gratitude, joy, tolerance, and contentment as their compass. Different choices, different lives. When you are ill in bed, you may realize how little worry changes. Friends fear being asked for money. Parents fear losing a child. A spouse fears the weight of illness. A boss fears an empty chair and searches for a replacement. Even a doctor may worry whether you can pay. In that moment, you may be unable to do anything. So while you are healthy, take care of yourself and live the life you truly want. No one lives easily. Sweetness and bitterness, laughter and tears, both are part of the human portion. To turn pain into poetry, to turn a harsh world into deep affection, that is a kind of mastery. Nothing remains perfectly whole. The sun at noon begins to tilt west. The full moon begins to wane. Often the most beautiful moment is before full bloom, before full roundness. A slight incompleteness becomes enduring. Imperfection is the human world. If you can accept, nothing becomes an absolute problem. Those who can bow their heads do not fear the road. Those who can yield do not need to scramble. A mind that seeks learning advances. A heart that knows enough is already full. Sometimes happiness is simply keeping your spirit gentle. Sometimes patience keeps your life safe. Sometimes adversity makes you strong. Sometimes suffering enlarges your compassion. If you only sit and wait for happiness, you may wait your whole life. So create it. Let sorrowful thoughts pass through without building a home in you. Accept what cannot be changed and focus on what can. Practice happiness like a daily discipline. Smile and let others see your steadiness. Brighten the lives around you with small kindnesses. Their relief will become your own joy. Stay close to those who have made your life lighter. Criticize less. Envy less. Many people suffer not because life is unbearable, but because their expectations are. Happiness is relative. Don't demand instant perfection. Learn to rejoice in the small. And when it is time to let go, understand why it feels difficult. A simple story explains it. A man asked a monk why there were things and people he could not release. The monk said, "Nothing is impossible to put down." The man insisted he had tried again and again. So the monk placed a cup in his hand and poured hot tea into it until it overflowed. The man's hand burned. He dropped it at once. The monk said, "When it truly hurts, you will put it down." We cling to status, to money, to love, to careers because we still dream, still hope, still imagine change, because the pain has not reached the edge of our endurance. Often it isn't that we can't let go, it's that we still believe. But when we see more spaciously, when we hold more lightly, release becomes natural. We suffer because desire multiplies. The mind keeps collecting, like a house filled with objects we can't bear to discard. Everything seems meaningful until one day the roof leaks and the old things are ruined, and then letting go becomes strangely easy. Pain clarifies. It strips away illusion. So be brave enough to put things down. Clinging becomes a chain. Release becomes freedom. From there, the reflection turns toward a more explicitly Buddhist lens. Life is marked by dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, because all conditioned things are impermanent. Craving is the root, desire without measure, thirst without end. Craving becomes grasping. Grasping becomes fear of loss. Fear becomes anger and sorrow. Even pleasure can be salt water. The more you drink, the more you thirst. Yet liberation is not borrowed from elsewhere. It is cultivated within, awakening to impermanence and non-self, seeing through delusion, reducing craving, enlarging compassion, and meeting the world's constant arising and passing with a clear, gentle heart. To defeat 10,000 enemies may be easier than to defeat oneself. The greatest victory is mastery of the mind. When you see that the I you clutch is transient, your grip loosens, and as the grip loosens, suffering loses its hold. This, finally, is the gift of such teaching. Not a promise that life will never shake you, but a way to remain steady when it does, serene, awake, and free.